morning, second graders. It's Ms. Thompson again, and I'm here to go over a mini lesson with you on an objective that's going to be something new that is on your review today. That new concept is what is known as the distributive property of multiplication. I know that's a lot of words, but really all that means is that we are going to break apart a factor or break apart one of the numbers in the multiplication problem. So on your homework tonight, you're going to have a problem like this. Now, we have 6 times 4. Now, we have learned lots of strategies, such as using our multiplication tables or circles and stars, drawing arrays to help us to solve this problem. This is another way that you can solve a problem that you might not have memorized yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this multiplication problem and we're going to split it up into 2 smaller multiplication problems. I'm going to show you this by first drawing an array, so you can kind of see how and why this works. So I'm going to draw my array for my original problem, which was 6 times 4. And of course, we know if we're drawing an array, that means that we have 6 rows of 4. So we're going to draw that. I'm going to make my first row of 4, my second row of 4, my third row of 4, my fourth row of 4, my fifth row of 4, and finally my 6th row of 4. So I made my array for 6 times 4. Now I could just go ahead and count them all and get my answer. That's one way I could solve 6 times 4. But using the distributive property or the break apart strategy, we are going to break this up into 2 smaller arrays. So for example, let's say I want to divide this array up into 2 smaller arrays. So what I could do is I could have one array here and one array here. I'm splitting this array for 6 times 4 into 2 smaller arrays. So what's happening here is I'm going to now write my equations for each of the smaller arrays. This array is 3 rows of 4, so that multiplication equation would be 3 times 4. And my other smaller array, of course, is also going to be 3 rows of 4, so that would be 3 times 4. So now I have my 2 equations. I'm going to write them in the parentheses. Sorry for being a little messy on my multiplication signs there. So 6 times 4 is the same thing as taking 3 times 4 and another 3 times 4 and add them together. If I added these together, well, what is 3 times 4? That would be 12. 3 times 4 again is 12. So I could add 12 plus 12 together, and I would figure out that my final answer is 24. And 6 times 4 is equal to 24. Let's look at another example. And this is very similar to what you might see on your review this week. They're going to give you the original equation, and they're going to go ahead and start breaking it apart for you. Your job is to figure out what is the missing number after I break my original equation apart. So here we go. My original equation is 7 times 6. So I'm going to draw my array, 7 rows of 6. 2 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows, 5 rows, 6 rows, almost done. 7 rows. So I have my array 7 times 6. That would be a lot of dots to count. So I'm going to break this apart into 2 smaller arrays. Well, from what they've given me, I know one of my arrays needs to be 3 times 6, or 3 rows of 6. So I'm going to go ahead and circle 3 rows of 6. So here's 1, 2, 3 rows of 6. So that's one of my equations. My job now is to figure out what's the other factor in my other equation. So I'm going to circle that one too. And I know that this one is 3 times 6. What is my other equation going to be? Well, I see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of 6. So that's going to be 4 times 6. Well, if I look in my equation, I have my 3 times 6 already. So what's my missing digit? It would be the 4. So I would fill in the 4 to make my complete distributed, broke apart equation. I hope that helps you to understand a little bit more about what you're going to do on tonight's review. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to message me, send me an email, or send me a message, and I will do my best to help you out. We will look at this a little bit more again tomorrow. Don't worry, this will not be on this week's quiz, but it is something that we're starting to look at for later. All right, guys, thank you again for joining me, and have an awesome day. Love you. Bye-bye.